Hey, Dom Salvucci. How you doing, brother?
Hey, how's it going, Eric Verno? My man.
Hey, man. Doing well. Life's good. How are life on the west end of PA?
It's craziness. School's back in session. And it's a football night in, Cleveland, but Pittsburgh's playing.
Yeah, maybe roughly half of Pennsylvania is cheering, ready to go, but all of the NFL nation is excited for Thursday night football to be
Yep.
back. So that's definitely good. So that means we just got to step up our game. We're competing with Thursday night football now. For a couple weeks here.
Oh, I know. But I think we can make it work.
Yeah, man, we'll do. I mean, we won't have the end zone dances. We're probably not going to have too much of the, we're not going to be busting out the gritty while we're doing our sessions. But hey, it'll still be pretty good. And I hear there's a rumor that there's going to be some future swag coming on the show.
That's what I hear. And inquiring minds wanted to know more, but I was like, you know what? You're going to have to wait and listen to the pod to find out.
That's right, and that's upcoming. Yeah, you got to wait. Whatever week it's going to be, you just don't know. It's going to be like a little playing roulette, figuring out what time it is.
It'll be
All right,
unannounced.
well,
More fun that way.
that's right. Keep everybody, and you got to be present to win when that happens, right? When we start rolling out, you got to be here.
Yep.
Most definitely. So, it's Thursday night, even though it's football night. There's all sorts of other reasons why we get together. What do you think? You think it's time to kick something off?
I think it's time for the PAECT pod.
All right, let's crank it. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the PAECT pod. I believe we're in episode 15. What do you think?
Yes. Time
That,
is a flying.
that is amazing. Over 1 year, we're over the 1 year hurdle. We need to act like veterans, but hey, we're still us, man. We're just gonna roll with it, do what we got to do.
Still young
So
at heart.
I'm joined with Dom Salvucci. Dom, introduce yourself.
Dom Salvucci. I am the regional director for the Southwest region of PAECT, and I'm
And
also
I
the
am
co-host on the PAECT pod. Eric, introduce yourself.
and I'm Eric Berto. I am the truly privileged, honored to be the vice president of this wonderful organization called PACT, a former regional director, a teacher in the York County area, and Dom's better half for the evening, definitely. All right, man. Well, what do you think? We're kind of we're humming along. Life's everybody in our position is experiencing life getting crazier right now because we're back to
Yes,
school. So, what do you think? Do you think that's a good topic to talk about tonight?
I think it's a perfect topic to talk about tonight because there's a lot going on. Back to school, what we're doing, how we're keeping ourselves balanced out, that life work, family thing going on. A lot to talk about.
No, most definitely. And then, of course, with the being the PACD pod, not only we're going to talk about work-life balance, not only we're going to talk about the different things that we might be doing in our classroom, but we got to talk a little bit about tech too.
Yes, most definitely.
And it's all about using the tech that works for you and also works for your kids because we got to pull in those interests.
Yeah, and it's not necessary. Like they always say, it's not about the tech. It's about the teaching. The tech
Mm-hmm.
should fit in seamlessly, and basically that's what it's all about.
Yeah, exactly. And I always say there's two elements to tech, right? There's that element of there's some tech that just makes it easy for you, helps you be more productive. There is that element. And then there's the element that makes it easy for the students, right? We want to make sure that they're able to get things, do things, and there's also the tech because we're combating Snapchat,
Yes,
TikTok,
be
instant,
real is
quick,
another one.
be real. Oh, be real, the new one, yeah, cranking out there. That one scares me. I don't need to have that pop on. Maybe in the summer, not during the school year. And but yeah, so all that stuff's popping on live, and we have to compete with that to an extent, right? You got to compete with that to an
Yes,
extent. Yeah.
and the funny thing is, and I explain this to the students all the time. They use a lot. They do a lot of the. They use a lot of the skills. I guess is what I want to say as I stumble through my words. I have not been tailgating, just for the record. No pregame tailgating here.
All
It's
right.
been a long day, and I've been stumbling over my tongue all day. Um, they use a lot of the skills already. They just don't use them in an educational setting. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not really teaching new skills. It's transferring from one app to an educational app, or taking the app that they use and bringing that into an educational setting. So they already have most of the skills. It's just a matter of them applying them in a classroom appropriate setting.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It's you can, as you said, it's not the tech, it's the teacher, it's how you use it. There's a time for tech, and there's a time for another version of tech called paper pencil. I mean, that was
Yeah.
a technology in and of itself when that rolled out, right? And it's about what fits the best when. And every so often, it's let's screens down, and let's work on that paper pencil. Let's
Mm-hmm.
screens down. Let's turn and talk with a shoulder partner, right? I mean, everything has its fit, and it's not about square peg round hole and not trying to hammer stuff in. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff. Like I
Yeah.
jokingly say, I'm one of the biggest geeks in my building, but when you come around my room, like there's only a certain percentage, and it's small, that the kids are actually on the devices. We're doing rotation models, we're doing different things like, maybe one person's on it and there's 4 people in a group working. That person's recording something, everybody else is doing hands-on stuff. Like trying to keep that balance is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And so with all that in mind, I think, how you said it, put to tie it in, you can either be afraid of, oh, we're fearful of all this tech, they're using this stuff, blah, 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 or you can harness it for good, right? You can
Yeah.
pull it in and cultivate it and like, hey, all those creator skills you're doing there, you're making that video, that stop motion, you're doing all that. Well, now let's transition it over. Let's use that in the classroom. Let's do whether it's flip or something you're doing, or just using your camera and storing it into Google Drive, whatever the case may be. Like utilizing that, because man, there are some great skills out there, and if we look at it, they are soft skills, and that's really something we really need to work on, right?
Yeah. That bringing it, keeping the human component, because now as we're going further out from COVID, although it's flaring up in patches.
Mm-hmm.
Masks are optional. We're allowed to start. My desks are back in little pods. We're working collaboratively, so we don't have to keep the 3 to 6 feet distance. Trying to get back into the humanity of teaching and working with the kids again, and it's good.
Yeah.
In fact, going on with a lot of the themes that happened at KTI at Pete over the last couple of years, connecting with the kids. My first couple of weeks of school, that's what we really focused on, was connecting with each other, getting the kids to know me, myself getting to know the kids. And I kind of brought little tech tools and different, apps and websites that I'll be using into that. And we focused more on getting to know each other. And like, oh, by the way, we're going to play a Kahoot, which a lot of the kids knew. We're going to play a Kahoot, learn about Mr. Sow. We use Schoology as our classroom platform in our school, and the school district pays for Cami. I'm like, I found a little get to know the student, like what my teacher should know about me poster.
Mm-hmm.
Here, pushed it out through Cami. A couple kids filled it out on paper, scanned it in. Other kids used Cami, and they made posters. I pushed it out to the web. I says, this will be published. So you don't want to know last names. Don't share anything that's too personal, because we're going to read these. I'm going to read these. And push them out. And we kind of did that. Did some different games and apps and flashcards, just things that I use in the classroom.
Sure.
And we just kind of got to know each other, hung out, worked on some skills. In the last couple of weeks, worked on note taking. We did some reading with commonlit.org, worked on the note taking skills with them. If kids needed it printed out, work on paper, whatever you need for notes. And my wife and I were just talking about this the other night, the art of outlining, which I dreaded as a student, because I'm not the most linear of thinkers. And even though I'm slightly OCD, I have a hard time matching, like every capital letter has to have the certain same number of lowercase letters and numbers, and I can't take notes that way. So when
Okay.
my students take notes, I'm like, whatever works for you, works for you. I'll give you those points on notebook check. But if I let you use your notes on a test, if you're keeping your notes up here in your head, that's all you're using when it comes time for the test. You can't walk in with someone else's notebook and say, oh, I copied these. And, but it's what works for them. And if kids want to use paper, they can use paper. If they want to use Google Docs or note-taking app, I'll work with them on it. And we just worked on the note-taking skills, because even for 10th graders, they needed some practice.
Yeah.
So that's what we did the last couple of weeks, was just basic, skills they need, not just for my class, but moving forward. And
yeah, it's funny when you're saying that, man. That throws me back to like first year's teaching. Like we used to hit Cornell note-taking style, and and with the outlining, and it's funny because even like I know we, at PACT are, huge addicts of Rocketbook. We love Rocketbook,
Yes.
and even they have like in their new planner, there's a Cornell sheet. I drink the purple juice of OneNote, love Microsoft OneNote, and they even have like templates that are like Cornell style. I laugh. I'm like,
Yeah.
so I don't know if they use them in the high school anymore, but yeah, but it's it's interesting. I think the other thing too is like I think a lot of schools, and I'll just say in a smart way, those that chose that smart route, and I'll kind of be facetious like that saying that, but really that connection piece is huge. You got to get the kids to buy in,
Yeah.
and but in honest, truth. So like talking about how some of the activities you did, I always tell the kids like, listen, I'm not on the mount. Like I've arrived and I'm like preaching the gospel of here's how to be organized. I said, I'm not only, the teacher, but I'm a client too. Like I am
Yeah.
constantly working on doing a better job with my organization. And kind of like when I get into my tech notes and some things that a little thing I did, I was sharing with you pre-show. And a lot of the tech that I do, I always try to make sure how am I able to utilize this to be more productive. So, in that we got rid of our paper planners a few years ago, and it's kind of a shame. But so we're trying to work on some methods of having the kids write it down because there is some research. Lenovo's done a good bit of research. HP's got some research out there talking about the association of writing something down
Mm-hmm.
and it getting here. And I know old school, when I used to study back in high school, back in the day, I used to have to rewrite my notes just 3, 4, 5 times, just go through notebooks. And that's how I
Yeah.
would get it in here. I was very auditory in the classroom, but when it came to studying, just writing it down, just repetition. And so they've taken it from paper pencil and they're talking about like the two and the ones, all
Yeah.
your different, with the iPads, the Surface devices and things. Um, and how is this beneficial? Now we're Chromebooks, so we don't want a planner where they're typing this stuff in. So we're trying to pull that paper in and just teach them little skills. Put a block in front of it, so when you do it, check it off.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just building those skills and within that, building classroom culture. I
Yeah.
always my rules are I always start off with the same 2 rules every year, and the first one is honesty is the best policy. No matter what happens in the classroom, out of the classroom, if you're honest, you don't get out of trouble, but everything's going to be a little bit more lenient and it's easier to get the clarification.
Yeah.
And then my second one, me being me, is laughter. Learn to laugh. I said, you guys are going to laugh at me 10, 15, 20 times a day because I'm going to do something then I'll say it about myself. Like I'll
Yeah.
say idiotic. I'll say something dumb. I'll do something dumb. And, like today, I kept telling them the wrong thing. We're supposed to open to a page. I kept saying the wrong page like 4 times in a row because I thought I was right. I start laughing. I tell them like that, but we go over like we could laugh to kind of decompress. But then if we take it too far, we talk about that and not being like that. And I said, in a lot of the things that they get wrong, they don't let that stress level rise. We're going to laugh, and I kind of, then
Yeah.
I go into like the serious things but to me, if you build that honesty culture and you have like just a laughter fun policy, like, cause that just, when people get stressed out, making mistakes, it's just, like I said, that's just what's been my policy for over 2 decades now. And, seems to work. And, but yeah, it's that building that community, that culture, and that safe place for the kids is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
And that's like I explained, communication is the key to my class. This may come as a surprise to people who know me, but sometimes I'm not the most clear whenever I speak. I always use the analogy of like the old 8-track tape players way back in the 70s. When you hit, forward, you don't know what song and where in that song you're actually going to jump to on the 8-track tape. In my mind, I see the connection, but verbally, it
Yeah.
might be an 8-track tape player, and I'm jumping all over the place. And I explain to the kids like, it may not be you, it may be me. If you don't understand it, raise your excuse me. Like, you lost me 2 jumps ago, and I'll go
Uh-huh.
back through and I will explain it that I'll go through that. But communication is the key, and I always tell them be proactive. If something's going on, let me know ahead of time. You're being proactive. If you do it after the fact, it sounds like an excuse and you're trying to get out of trouble. You may not be, but it's the same thing I tell my daughter. Let us know ahead of time. We can make accommodations versus, Mr. Sal, I lost my Chromebook, 3 days ago. That's why the assignment said, well, why didn't you tell me 3 days ago? Why did you wait till after the due date? um,
Mm-hmm.
and work with the kids. And with this collaborative project we've been doing, I got to sit down and work with all the groups and go over things with them. And we used Canva. We took their notes, their note taking, and I gave them a template on Canva. And they're just making a little presentation. They're not going to present it because the kids are nervous. I'm like, that's fine. We kind of explained to them, not too much text. You're not writing an essay for me. You're just bullet points. And got to sit down. And what I like is, like, when we used Cami checking the notes, I write with the Apple Pencil. It's nice, even though my handwriting's not that great. And on the iPad, it's a little bit worse. I'm working on it, but that whole handwriting, like you mentioned, I like that. I use
Mm-hmm.
the paper with the fountain pen, the free Rocketbook printable paper. I have that in my classroom for kids, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
showing them how to scan. So they have a digital copy, they have a paper copy. You lose the paper copy, you still have the digital copy. But like Canva, we're going through, and I could comment, and I'll sit down with them like, here's what we have to do, and work on the process, more of the communication. Here's what I expect. Um, what's your take on it? What did you understand this to be? And work with them. Okay, like, here's how can we. You have this paragraph. How can we phrase that down to, 2 bullet points or 3 bullet points, and work with them on those skills, and we get that connection, talking with the group. They're working with people. I'm getting to know them better. They're getting to know my expectations, which, even as an adult, whenever I take a class or a seminar, the first assessment, if it's a class, the first assessment's the hardest for me because I don't know what the professor's expecting. But once you get that under your belt, then it's much easier, and you can communicate. And and the kids, along the same lines as you, humor is a big part of, there's a time to be serious, and then there's a time to, you got to relax. And what they're learning, we had a power surge that sent us out of school last Friday. And even with the notes that we were taking and the projects we're working on, I'm like, you know what? We don't have this down yet. We're going to take another day. And they look at me. I'm like, it's okay. Like, I control the due date. It's not late. Like, I'm allowed to say, we're going to take another day on this. You don't have this yet. I'd rather this take longer right now, and you learn this, so down the road we can move faster than we're trying to learn the same skill all year long. And I know I'm getting a little long-winded with this,
That's good.
but that it's the first couple weeks. You just got to get used to the kids, and they got to get used to you, and get
Mm-hmm.
that dynamic going.
Yeah, I mean, so kind of with that train of thought, I had a conversation with the para in my room today during one of my science classes where we're working on a lab. We're day number 3 of the lab, and I said, you know, she's like, oh, are we ready to move on to the next spot? I said, there was like 3 groups that just weren't hitting the mark. They were missing a couple things, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna pause. We're gonna re-go over this. And she just looked at me, and I said, we're spending the time now to get it right, because our dog's going crazy if you can hear that. Every other lab that we do from this point forward is going to have a similar format. I want to make sure we iron down and we're doing the right thing. Get it done now on an easy lab, so when we get into some of the more complicated stuff, they have it down. But being in the lab, it's still some of those kids. We have 4 or 5 kids that are new to the district. I have about 6 kids that just came out of remote learning, for 2 years. They're still new to the building. I like that, Gina. Don't rush it, scaffold. I love it, because you want to build, right? You got to have a strong base. And so as you're working through, like, we want to make sure we get this process down, and then we'll go from there. And so next week, like, we have a half day tomorrow. We're doing a pep rally, and because our students are raising money for the school and for Special Olympics. So but I told them next week when you come in, we're gonna go through, we're gonna evaluate where we're at. I'm really trying to push more reflection. Been reading a lot of reflection, but trying to find that time to have it in the classroom, because that's just something that's so tough for teachers everywhere, to find the time. And one thing I do in my labs, I tell the kids, like, kind of that whole, being honest. I said, listen, when the teacher walks around and to visit the lab, everybody in your lab all of a sudden does the right thing, and they chuckle and they go, yeah. And I'm talking 6th graders. And I said, and raise your hand if you've been a part of a lab where you've done all the work and everybody gets the credit. I put my hand up, they put their hand up. And then I said, raise your hand if you've been in the lab and you've slacked off and you've let other people do the work. and they don't want to raise their hand. But when they see my hand go up first, they're like, I go, oh yeah, I've been on that side of the coin. Then the hands go up. So I always do at the end. They get to grade each other, a quick 5-point grade. It's anonymous. I get it. And then, if there's 4 kids in the group, I'll take it out of 20 points. If there's only 3, I'll add the final point to give them that possible 20 points. And it's, man, when you give the kids that ability to be honest about how their group members did, you find a lot about what was going on in that group that you may not have caught, because we could motor around as much as possible. We don't see everything. So just building, again, it goes with that, building that base, getting that going. And it's unique. But so far this year, it's a good group. I jokingly have told everybody it's a different kind of tired this year than it has been in the past. Like I hit like Monday 2:00, and we were out, and before we were starting our last class, I looked at my colleague and I said, is it Thursday? I said, I feel like I've been through a few days already. And so I was like, oof, and just working through, but the kids, like, so we do this one lab. It's nothing fancy. We're just testing the ball bounce and working on hypothesis and working on different things. And this was the first group that today we used the golf ball, Dom. 6th graders in the hallway with golf balls. And I was like, it's been about 2-3 years since kids have been allowed to use the golf ball. And they did good. There was only one kid where it hit their shoe on the way down and took a little ride down the hallway. So I'm sure we could pull video and see a couple 6th graders scamper to get it because they were afraid it would get all the way down to where the office was and get Mr. Bruno in trouble. And but yeah, I mean, so it's good. You're really working hard to build that base and get things together, build that community, and there's always something to smile and laugh about, and it's a tough job, but you gotta find the enjoyment in it as much as possible,
Yeah. And well, this week, like I said, we had that power surge last week. We had to evacuate the school, which was a little crazy because things were, blinking, lights are blinking. Half my lights were on. I use the lamps. I don't use the big lights because it's too, antiseptic is the word, too hospital-like.
Yeah.
And I made the joke because I have a window now, like, okay, stay in your seats, don't panic, don't trip in the dark. And then they made the announcement, please evacuate. I'm like, okay, I think we should go. Like, let's skedaddle. We got out and everything. Everyone was safe and there was no fire or anything, but the power surge, scared a lot of people.
I'm sure.
So it was a crazy, we came back. I'm like, listen, we're starting again. Like, today's the day we're touch base. I had part of one class. Let's see where we're at, who has what, regroup, move ahead, and kind of go through things. But the kids, like Thursdays, it's my Friday Eve. I picked that up on one of the disc jockeys on Sirius XM on the Underground Garage said that the one day. I'm like, I like that phrase. And get that going, come in, play music. I haven't used the turntable this week because of the power surge, but I play music from the decades. We're in the 40s right now. So the best of Benny Goodman, the Dorsey brothers, and the kids are like, one of my students walked in, I was playing Duke Ellington, and his eyes lit up. He's like, you're playing jazz. I'm like, Duke Ellington. He's like, the Duke. And he was just,
no way.
And I was surprised because you wouldn't think he was a big jazz aficionado. And we sat down, we had a good 10-minute conversation. Once we get the class started, he finished up his work. We sat there and we talked about jazz. And some of the Pittsburgh artists that I used to listen to when I lived closer to the city. We talked about different things. I mean, look this guy up on YouTube, listen to this artist. And, just the connections you make.
That's awesome.
Unexpectedly. So I try and do that music of the whatever era we're studying, bring some of that, some more culture, and just kind of expand their horizons a bit. Yeah. It's all part of history's more than just wars and elections.
That's really cool. I like that. And that's the thing too. Like, you never know where that little glimmer is, and you make that connection and what that means to that kid. Like, they're going to look forward to coming in and hearing what's playing, have a conversation with, and that's huge. That's great.
I like it. But the connection, a couple kids ask, where are you getting these albums? I'm like, various flea markets. You're like, where? I'm like, not telling you because I don't want competition for the discs. I'm getting them for $1 each. They might start charging me $3. I says, nope.
That's funny.
I like you guys, but there's lines I will not cross.
They're gonna be stalking your house trying to figure out where you're at. That's good stuff. Any of those kids watching, just message us. Email pod at pact.org. We'll get you the info.
I will not tell anyone what flea markets I went to.
I'll talk to the family. We'll see what we can do. That's awesome. That's good stuff. And I'm sure the kids like they're cracking up, they're laughing, they think it's pretty funny. That's neat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. And it's funny. Speaking of so just connections, like our whole team moved where we're located this year, and so we're getting like we have like little different learning communities is what they call it, different grade levels, and so not only are we getting used to the different area, but the other areas are getting used to the volume of Verno. And so I'm in the hallways in the morning and whatever. And we have a student that, one of those things where, has been historically a attendance issues and different things going on. So I've been working really hard to build that connection and do different things. And, in the first full week, missed a little bit. And, but last Friday, they show up. And it was the first full week. This was our second full week of the year. The first 2 days back was missed 1 out of 2, 2 days out of the 4 the following week. And we hit Friday and I just start yelling in the hallway, like, oh my word, 5 days. And like the teachers, because the way it works is the kids go right down the hallway. So literally like working up the hallway to where our area is. And so the other teachers knew the student and, and the story. And they were like, what are you yelling about? And I said, oh, so-and-so. 5 days. They're like, that's a big deal. And they start going, yeah. The guidance counselor jumps out of her office thinking something bad's happening. And then she's like, I just hear her like tell another teacher, oh, it's Verno. And later I had to go down and explain what was going on. She's like, that really is a big deal. So we'll see what tomorrow brings. But right now we're on 9 days solid. And
Nice.
That's like talking about working hard to build connections and having because, if you're not present, I don't care how smart you are, you miss stuff, and just trying to get them there and have fun. And when day 5 hit, they were given 100-gram candy bar, and they were told anytime during my 90-minute math, they could start eating it. They could smile at anybody they wanted to, and they were very nice about it and humble, but they did enjoy the candy bar during class. So that was pretty big. But yeah, so it's not always the the football term. It's not always the X's and O's. Sometimes it's was it the Jack and the Joes, whatever they say, but it's just and what was the gentleman who spoke at Pete and C last year was I want to say Martin, but I don't think that's right. The gentleman that spoke and said because kids, blanking on his name, but and that's really what it is,
Oh, it is, and like with the kids in my class, they'll kid around and we'll go back and forth. And the other day, I loaned out my Chromebook charger to a student. Forgot that they plugged it in behind me, turned, stepped, almost went down, almost took their computer down. Everyone's like, you'd have to pay for that computer. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, but I'm old. I didn't fall. I'm okay. They're like, how's your hip? I'm like, my hip's okay. My knee's okay. But sit there, and a couple students, they sit by my one. I have a couple bookcases of books that I was told I have no room for in my house. I have to take to school or somewhere. They went to school, and some of the books the librarian was getting rid of, I put in my room. And students will pick when we'll play review games, and they'll pick names off the books, different historical characters or authors. And I'm trying to guess, guess who's who? I'm like, yeah. Like, and I usually guess wrong, and they laugh at me. Then they were like, they listened to, I put out a weekly podcast, and a couple of students were like, we like the music in your podcast. I'm like, oh, cool. So my daughter made the music. Says, what about the rest of the podcast? And the one student's like, my mom had some tooth work done, and it helped put her to sleep. I'm like, great. Great. Good to know I'm boring. Like, no. Like, your voice is soothing. I'm like, was she on like medication? Because I don't think my voice is. I always I have a voice for silent movies and a face for radio.
That's funny.
Like,
hey, this is DJ Novocaine. Spinning the 40s.
They'll sit there and I'll get comments here and there about stuff, and it's a good time. And we have the seriousness of the class, and we also have the don't take things too seriously, because you have to enjoy life too. Like, as long as you're learning, as long as we're getting stuff done, we're good. I don't want to be one of those teachers that we have to be on this page on this day or the world's going to end. And I don't want to be that way,
Yeah.
because things happen.
Right. Yeah. There's things you have to do and you got to keep some timelines, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
you don't want to be like
And
that. Ain't nobody
honestly,
got time for that.
yeah. And actually, I have a couple kids that, every day I forgot my Chromebook. Can I go get it? Yes. And it's frustrating, but they're working for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like they'll run up. I says, you can't take long to, you go up to your locker, come back. You have like 2 minutes. You can't take forever. And they're good at it. They're coming back. Yeah, I have my stuff. They're working. I'd much rather have them do that, as I've had kids in the past where you have to have your Chromebook or else, or you have to have your materials or else, and they'll sit there and be passive aggressive and they'll bring it to class and they do nothing. I'd much rather have, okay, you know what? Pick and choose what battles I'm going to fight. 3 days out of 5, you have to go get your Chromebook. You're not taking a lot of time. You're coming back. So, you're missing a couple warm up, little bit of chit chat in the beginning of the class, part of the music I play, but you're doing your work in class. I'll concede that to them. It's better than fighting tooth and nail, and then they sit here and do nothing I made them bring their Chromebook, or I made them bring their notebook. It's just, we have to learn as teachers, as Gina said. You have to be right things right here to be able to adapt. And that's a lot of people don't do that. They get frustrated, and I've gotten to the point in my many, many years of, probably the younger me would have fought that battle, and not realizing that I'm losing the war. But
right. Yeah. Well, in Gina's line about the script, I jokingly just tell the kids, like, I'm just not smart enough to hold to a script. My Italianisms just get in the way, and self-proclaimed ADD, and I just go off script all the time. But I always find a lot of times when you're off script, man, that's when the magic happens,
Yeah.
But it's funny. So talking about that situation you have on our team, we do a thing called a responsibility slip, and the kids get it. And we just write what was the thing, like forgetting your Chromebook or whatever the case may be. And then they go home, and it's because like if they were just forgetting it class to class, that's one thing. But if they're forgetting to bring it to school, things of that nature, and the responsibility slip goes home, and for us, and again, it's different high school versus like more of that middle school age, it's for them to have a conversation with mom and dad, and it's what was what behavior did I need to fix? Whether it's I had one as I'm handing them out, I talk to the kids. Okay, what happened? Well, I did my homework. Where'd you do it? Oh, I was in my room on my desk. So then what happened? Well, I didn't put it in my folder, and the folder never made it into the book bag. Okay, what can we do? And that's what we encourage. We send messages home to the parents to talk about, and I tell the kids, like, if you end up getting like 6 of these in a week, and it's all something going on with your homework, like your system's broken. You need to fix it. And that's what you're taking responsibility for. You're taking the time. So in the way we're in a 456 building, getting them ready to go into 7th grade. So we say, like, this is that time to really iron things out. And that's one of our big conversations with the parents. Like, they're going to 5 different teachers, where in our building, I do half the math of the team. I do all the sciences. So they have 2 math, one math teacher, 1 language arts teacher, and then a science social studies teacher. So it's not as chaotic as, like the high school schedule, the middle school schedule, and, just working through that. But that's all about, so they're not in trouble. And I tell the kids, you're not in trouble. If I called home or they get the email from me, that's a different scenario. Now they're going to have a conversation with you after hearing from me. This is for you to bring it up first. Take responsibility, take ownership, tell the truth. I forgot. I left it at blank. I never brought it home. Whatever the scenario is. I said, because I said in my house, if that happens with one of my daughters, and I'm like, we asked you if you had homework and you said no. We trusted you. And then you ended up not doing the homework. So let's look at the system. So now when I ask you, I want you to show me X or show me Y, and you're working on building that. And that's the big emphasis, like, because, in the end, they've got to take ownership when they're given stuff. You can procrastinate, you can get it done, and just work it through. So again, that's something that I'll put in what they missed. They'll give me the quick, what was the, what was it that they didn't do? When I make sure it's honest, I sign it, goes home. There to put, what can they do to fix that, make it better? Mom and dad sign off on it, they bring it back. So just something different. But, and again, it's before like getting to an issue where they're being seen in the office or, taking it to that next level where it's just a repeat offender. And I find it really does open lines of communication. If they get one, and like today I had to send an email because 2 kids just forgot to bring it in. My parents are, they were supposed to email. I didn't get it yet. And the other kid was like, I know exactly where it is. And the email just went home. Hey, this went home yesterday. They didn't have it. They said it was here and you didn't know about it. Just verify you knew about it. Have them bring it in tomorrow. And that's, again, I told the kids, I said, it's not an I got you. It's the communication and making sure your system is working,
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the kids they don't want to make that connection that, I put my headphones in, I listen to music. Yeah, I'm missing homework, but my system's working. Like, maybe.
Yeah. It's along those lines too. Some of these kids, they're not used to that. I have study hall in one of the commons during the day, and I'm right by one of the restrooms, and the kids come through all the time. Well, the student I have later in the day was showing up as absent from homeroom. Come walking past, going to the restroom, like, hey, come here for a second. And I get this look, I'm like, and this look of like, what do you want? Why do you want to holler at me? I'm like, you're not in trouble. I'm like, they have you marked absent. Were you here all day or did you just come in? And they looked at me and I says, I'm not criticizing. I'm like, did you just come in? I've been here all day. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to email the office because we're in third period and nobody said you're here. I says, if we don't let the office know, you're going to need an excuse or they're going to have to do all kinds of back paperwork. And they came out of my, come here a second. I says, just because I call your name doesn't mean you're in trouble. Like, I had a question for you. I said, 7 times out of 10, if I have to holler at you, I'm correct. 3 times I might be wrong. 2 I will apologize for. The 10th time, I'm just a grumpy old man, and I'm going to be stubborn and not admit I was wrong. And they looked at me. I'm like, if I have to say something, I will. I said, but just because I call you over doesn't mean you're in trouble. I said, trying to help you out here, so you're here, you're marked absent. Let's get this taken care of. But we do have, our secretaries do a great job. But we have kids that come in late almost every day. And there's a while for things to get marked in the computer, things to get updated. And sometimes I don't have the updated list. So it's like I'm looking at an old list, but it's been corrected. And just like with the kids, when they have that look when you call them over, like they have that, what did I do? And that's what their experiences. And you have to kind of like, not every experience when a teacher talks to you is you're in trouble. Right. And we have to take that into consideration too sometimes, because you do have those kids that are defensive because they're always getting hollered at regardless.
Yeah.
So
yeah, my rebuttal to that is when they give that look, I'm always like, whoa, we're not related. We're not at home. You don't give me that reply. Like, calm down, come on over here. Just diffuse it and go from there. But yeah, right away they right away turn to that unfortunately that jerk reaction kind of a deal and like snap back at you or whatever. And when you were saying that, I would laugh. I mean, it's more of those high school kids be like, if you were in trouble, I would have used your middle name. Yeah. I mean, something like that. Like I would have said the full name.
Well, actually, that's kind of, I did keep on the attendants. I kept their middle names just in case I have to go that route, just to like, Dominic Anthony.
And we better hear.
I have a question for you. But
I love it.
It's good because I'll sit there and we'll be talking and I'll make the comment. And it's, talk with the class and, whether you're sitting there, biting your nails, not listening to me, rolling your eyes because I'm talking too long. And I could see the kids like, oh, crud, he saw me. And I'm fairly certain they're not thinking crud, but it's like, oh, man, he's paying attention. But, with the feedback, I always make sure after most units, I ask for their feedback. Good, bad, what worked, what didn't work. And then I talk to the classes about it, and I throw their comments out. I don't say the names, but I'll put the comments of the class. Like, I got this idea from a student. I make sure I mention it in their period that, this didn't work that well for them. They suggested we try it this way. How many people think this would work better? And those students appreciate the fact that, I'm not just giving lip service or giving them busy work. I'm actually taking their ideas into consideration and trying to improve the course. And it builds the lines of communication. It gets them to think about what they're doing. It gets me to self-reflect and see what could I do better. And it just keeps the process moving along.
Yep. A lot of good stuff here. And, everybody's doing their deal and we're all in the knee deep of it. And, as I'm looking over the notes that we have written down, even thinking about, we've got, we're like 2 weeks away from having conferences, parents coming in and talking about, how things are going and, getting that read on their child. And, you're really working on, I pulled the kid over today and I was like, listen, like, we're doing work, we're doing rotations, and what are you doing? Like, there's a couple things on the computer that they're supposed to be working through. Like we use Freckle, we got like Moby Max Prodigy game, like some things in math, and I'll assign different stuff to kind of like get a read on them after we do the main lesson before they get into a collaboration setting. And I'm like, yeah, it shows nothing. Oh, I'm working. I said, well, the computer doesn't lie. I go, about 2 weeks, mom and dad are going to be coming in. I want to make sure I could say, hey, here's where their abilities at. Not, I haven't really done, he hasn't really been doing much. He's doing a lot of socialization, so you got those conversations too and getting things together. So, a lot of that coming up. And yeah, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Just working through it. And I don't know, how's your school doing it? The parents have the option face-to-face or Zoom. And we're probably about 40% are choosing to do it virtual. About 60% are coming in person.
We don't, at high school, we don't have those conferences. We have conferences as needed. We do have our open house coming up next Wednesday. And actually, our mid-grades are coming up soon. So we do a mid-grade report that goes out. So it's, we're getting through the first 9 weeks already. But we have most of our parents will do face-to-face. We still do have a few that'll do virtual if we have to have parent meetings. But a lot of times that's due to work schedule because they can't get to school in time because of their work. So they'll jump in a Google Meet or a Zoom room and do that. But it's a different beast than the high school. We don't have the parent teacher.
Yeah, I'm the parent that requests everybody. I tell all my daughter's teachers, I said, listen, I don't care that you teach, you're the gym teacher. I don't care that you have help. I don't want you to be lonely on back to school night or conference night. I'm going to come visit you. And I started doing that in the middle school, and I got to know the middle school gym teachers really well because I was the only parent coming to visit them on parent teacher night. And but the best part was first year. So I 3 daughters have gone through the middle school now, and when my oldest 7th grade, and I walk in and they look at me and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to figure out who's my kid. So anyway, I had to give them I had to give them some clues. We were playing clues, so it was fun. But I just Deborah Kelly put this comment on, Dom. We are making connections on people's phones, just randomly starting our video. That's how good we are at making connections. All right. And the other thing is, we're going to have to ask Gina how much she's going to charge, because she needs to be like a guest host on here, because I love the fact that she puts up with us on a monthly basis, and she pops some great comments in there, things there too. So parents got the option. Most are choosing virtual. So it's very, it's interesting. And honestly, so the way we do it is, because the kids all have one language arts teacher, but we have 2 on team, and then they have a different math teacher depending on who they have in. So they would always go to the language arts teacher's room, and the other math teacher and I just run back and forth all night. So I'm kind of a big fan of the virtual conference, because I can just sit or stand at my standing desk and I'm not running all around. And man, the wear and tear. Then Deb. That's. Yeah, and I'm not sure what grade. Do you know what grade Deb, if she puts in what grade level she teaches? But that's definitely something to think about. But I do joke with, so many years I coached football in our school, and this is the funniest thing, and it's hilarious because the high school teacher I did it with, a buddy of mine, his kid's on my team this year. I gave him we had the booster club had extra food, so they gave us extra food. So I had about 7 bags of pretzels. So I give him 7 bags of pretzels. He teaches high school health. I said, hey, when any family that comes and visits you tonight, because they had conferences that night, I want you to give them the bag of pretzels. When we have practice on the next day, Thursday, I said, I want you to bring back all the pretzels you have left, right? So we get, practice is over. We get into the coach's office, and I said, all right, man, pretzels. So he throws out 3 bags. I'm like, dude, you had 4 parents visit you? And he just gets this sheepish look on his face. He goes, well, it was one family. They had 3 kids, and then I got hungry. The 4th bag. And I was like, oh man. So kind of like how Deb said it, that 9th grade. Yeah, that's tough. And it's, I'm not sure, what, high school open houses and getting those numbers there. And it's funny because going to my daughters, there was about 5 or 6 families that I know that we go to church with, and they were all there. And you know, I knew all their kids, and all of our kids were in youth group together, and we all saw each other. And but yeah, just seeing the different families go by, so it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Well, now like my open house, I have former students coming in with their kids, so we'll talk and you know back and forth, and you know if I know the parents well enough, I'll be like, you know, I'll give their child a glowing review. Then I'll look at the kid and say, student, and say, so when are you going to give me that candy bar? And they're like, well, you said if I gave a good report, I get dark chocolate. And the parents, you know, he did that with us. You know, you better pay him because he'll tell us the truth. And the kids, I'm just kidding. You know, like
Yeah.
I pulled this on your dad. You know, however many years ago it was, or your mom. But when I go to Ariana, she gets flustered because I bring my PACT cards.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
go over and
yeah.
they'll ask questions like, "Hey, we were trying. You were wondering how to, you know, you do this with your kids, or you guys do this. You were talking about this at PACT." And I'll be like, "Oh yeah," and we'll start talking. And she's like, "Dad," like I'm embarrassing her. Like,
Yeah.
they
That's
ask the
funny.
questions, you know. I'm just answering. I'm being polite. You talk too
There
much.
you
I know.
go. Yep. I definitely have done that. One teacher this year was having tech issues with their projector, so I helped her. I said, you know, there's this organization PACT, and we do a lot of tech stuff, and we talk about how to use it in the classroom, but we can have a day where we go over how to make our projectors work properly. And she just started cracking up. But I did not have a card to give her. I got to work on that one. I got to step my game up. All right, man. Well, hey, let's. We got a lot of great banter. We do have
Yeah.
some tech notes to talk about, but I think um, a couple things to highlight before we jump into it. And I do listen. I think we got to work on it. I think Gina's game. She just said she's got to make sure she takes a nap and she's ready to roll. So we'll work on that one with her.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So let's see here. Uh, Let me share this here. So what's really important, something I wanted to make sure that we talked about here. Pete and C coming up. We've got registration opens October 3rd. So we're not going to have a
Nice.
pod till after that. So I just wanted to make sure we took some time to talk about that, right? You want to make sure you register. It's at the Kalahari, what is it? We're moving
Conference
for
Center.
2023. Yep, the wilds of Kalahari to hear motivating messages from keynote speakers. And then make sure you go to the website to check out, and they're doing something new Sunday for Ed Camp. So the unconference style and a pregame party, not to be missed. So a lot of really cool stuff. It is a busy calendar week. Talking about NFL, talking about Valentine's Day, a lot of stuff going on, which Pete's no stranger to Valentine's Day, but usually it's a little different when, the guys leave their home and they're able to swing by, Chocolate World and grab some stuff on the way home.
Yeah.
Kalahari's a little different, a little far from Hershey.
Yeah.
So a new venue, going to be exciting. There's a lot of great stuff going on. Obviously, PACT working with the other organizations, so a lot of stuff in the back end. But they have a lot of great stuff planned, and even make sure you're checking your email. There'll be information coming out about our event that we do, and changing things up. Just a new year, new location, so a lot of great opportunities. So I know I'm pretty sure you're planning on being there. Am I right, Dom?
Yes. I plan on being there.
Definitely, and so am I. And we're hoping to, we put in a couple different presentations. One is to do the PACT Pod live from Pete and C, and we dipped our toe into that this summer with KTI. So excited to do that and talk about how Dom is creating the podcast in class using it. I'm talking to my librarian, and she was just talking about a podcast she just found she was using with her kids. So we talked about doing some things there. Looks like I'm thinking Deb is saying she's very excited. She's planning on being there as well.
Yeah.
All right. So it's always a great time. I say like it's so big for everybody to get together and energize our battery. It's February. You're kind of hitting that time where that cold weather is kind of really sinking in, but it's just a great time to get together with friends and chat and make sure if you get to P&C, you stop by the PACT booth. I don't care if we're talking to multiple people. You come up, you say hi, you talk to anybody you want. All right, fingers crossed, Deb, just like us. We're all waiting for those presentations, to be reviewed and going through. So a lot of good stuff there. All right, so I kicking it along to one more thing here. Let me switch over because I want to make sure we go over what's happening in September and October in the world of PACT.
Well, we just had our happy hour meetup last week. Gina was there, a bunch of some KTIs. New KTIs were there. We met down in Robinson, which is I don't want to say central, but it's easy to get to from many points in our area. And had a small turnout, but I think most of the turnouts recently have been smaller, but it was average for average for everything going on and what the other regions have. So I was happy with it. Talked with some people. We have some other events coming on. I know there's an English language conference coming up in Cranberry Township. We're trying to get a PACT booth there coming up. And we have some people that may or may not be able to help us out with it. So let me look that up.
All right, while you're looking that up, I see, your Northwest was on there, and September 8th, there was a back-to-school tools that was a virtual one with Northeast, I believe. Yeah. I was hoping there was video with that one because they were talking about the Google Work Suites and everything, and very excited to kind of catch that. So I really hope they recorded it to be able to share because, again, with everything Google's doing right now, they're changing so much. So it sounded like their presenters really had a good feel for where they are. South Central did a Reconnect and Reimagine, and that was great. It was at Springgate Vineyard up near the Harrisburg area, so I was able to attend that one, and it was really just a great time to kind of kick back. They had a taco truck and then, beverages of your choice, and just to sit back and have everybody share about, what are you hoping to do this year? What kind of problems have you had? How can we work through it? So it was kind of one of those deals where, you're able to kind of get some things off your chest, but you got people there that are kind of linking arms with you. And hey, we know what it's like, and boom, let's work on attacking it. So, so that closed out kind of September. A lot of great stuff going on. So, do you have that date there? You have what you're looking for yet, Dom?
I cannot find it. I'm looking through my email, but I'm reading on my phone, and the eyes aren't what they used to be.
All right, well, let's look at the October events we got coming up.
We do have the book study coming up. Early October.
Yep,
that's it. Found it. It is the PA Council for the Teachers of English Language Arts. It's October 21st through 22nd in Cranberry, PA. PACT is trying to have a booth there. I think we have that pulled off. If you know of anyone, Gina knows.
She had it up there. Yep.
Yeah. We do need help manning the booth. We will, if you're interested, helping us out, let us know. Reach out to myself or Eric.
Yeah. Awesome. So, hey, looking at October, we got October 3rd. When You Wonder You're Learning, the virtual book study kickoff. I am so excited. I got the book. It's been sitting here. I'm just looking forward to kind of reading along with everybody else going through. So definitely excited. Dom's going to be on read number 2. We talked about that last show. So excited for that to kick off. And then Northwest regions got their dinner meetup. We got a book share virtual workshop. Out-of-state regions doing October 12th. They got a different book, I believe, Escape Room in Bethlehem, PA. I might have to take a trip to the old stomping grounds and go up there and hang out with the escape room. And then we got October 22nd, Parkland Teacher Tech Con. I know we have a lot of PACT members, board members presenting there. So that's up in the Northeast region. And if you go to the website, so it's the link, let me pull it up here for everybody who's watching, bit.ly, and then all capital PACT, and then all lowercase EVENTS, so PACT events. If you go there, you'll be able to click on that link to register for the Parkland Teacher Tech Con. So definitely something for you to check out. It's a great thing that Miss Karen Staggerwall helps organize in her school district every year. So definitely exciting with that. All right, man. Well, I think it's time for us to kick off some tech notes. What do you think?
I think that is good. I'm trying to get I upgraded to a new computer and I don't have all the settings. Why is it that I keep doing this? I keep having all these glitches.
Hey, that's because you're a tech person. Tech people have glitches. All right.
Yes.
Here we go, man. Let's hit the transition. All right. Well, that wasn't our normal one with your voiceover, so we have to work on that one in the back end. All right, Dom. Are you? If you're ready to kick off, let me know. If not, I can jump in.
Yeah, I'll let you go first to see if I can screen
All right,
share. I
brother.
can paint a picture of what I want to do, but I don't have the ability to screen share.
Nobody wants you to paint a picture, Dom. Nobody wants that. All right. So hey, so this is going to be a little more geeky, definitely very niche, but we were talking about our technology and the things that we're doing, and so I jokingly told Dom beforehand I did a little something. I did a little switching over from AT&T to a little T-Mobile love and going with a new phone. So cranking out a new Galaxy Fold, and I'm a Surface guy. I love my devices, and but one of the things is I have it, but I really strive that it's a productive part of my workflow. So I'm a Microsoft Surface geek. So all day long, I am inking on my Surface. We're doing stuff like Dom talked about his Apple Pencil. I got things on the screen, and talk about having kids being high interest. Oh, that looks crazy. All right. And, when a kid gets an opportunity to use a pen on this, I love how I have to, like, first of all, it doesn't work like an iPad because it has a touch sensor in the pen so they can put their hand on it. And so many kids are just used to like hovering, and it's hilarious. But so you want to talk about that kid in the corner they're talking, and you walk around and you give it to one kid and say, here, write your answer we were just talking about. And now every kid is glued in because they want to be the next kid to write on the thing. So that's really powerful. But what's really cool is as the transitions are happening, how things are going on, so I'm able to just pull this out of my pocket. I'm able to kick into Microsoft OneNote, and I'm able to just real quickly, look at that good picture of Dom there in the reflection. But I'm able to
Very
real quickly
nice.
get the pen out and make a quick note. I'm able to just quick jab, write a note, and I'm just able to ink right on the screen. And for instance, it was, we're doing some work. I had the kids grouped. We're doing some rotations. I was like, oof, you know what? I had 3 kids that were not necessarily in the best group for them. So I quick wrote a little note, kind of kicked it over. I have all my lesson plans done in OneNote. So I was able to kind of write the notes, work on making that adjustment that I'll be making, the following week. But I just knew, when I got them back, I was able to adapt a little bit with the activities we were doing. So, but yeah, so I mean, just loving it. Like I said, when you want to use it, it's almost like the Kindle. And then when you kick it shut, and then the screen will pop open on the front. And now it's just a skinnier kind of, skinnier than the iPad. But I'm able to work through, a lot of different things. This doesn't have inking on the front necessarily. You're just working on the inside. And talk about, Dom with getting a little older, working with reading and making things a little bigger. Like, having something like this and be able to make that the text a little bigger is really nice. So for me, it's always been about, utilizing that. I was a Galaxy Note user for a while, so I was always in my pocket able to, just pull it over here, just a smaller form factor, right? But just your single slab, and here, and it had the little stylus down below that I was able to use. So I was still inking here, but now just with that bigger screen, that bigger area. So very, was working on squirreling some pennies aside, squirreling some money aside so I could, make that purchase. But it's been great, just to be able to jot different notes down. And again, that whole thing of, getting a little older, walking through the halls and somebody comes up and says, hey, blah, 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 blah. And I'm always like, can you just email everything you just said? And they're like, yeah. I said, because I'm going to forget it by the time I get to my room. And then as I take 3 steps away, I quick pull it out of my pocket, pop it open, and I write a quick note. And then what's really been good is utilizing the Microsoft To Do, because again, we have PCs as teachers, our kids have Chromebooks, but being able to keep notes with To Do, I love the fact that, I have a long list of things that I'm working on over here. So those are all like emails that were flagged that I need to pay attention to. And when I'm done, I can kind of check them off. But I'm even able to pull it out and do a quick little ink note. Like I talked about those responsibility slips. I was able to write the student's name down, have it for the day. So now tomorrow I can just double check and I remember what it is. And because to me, if I write it on paper, the piles on my desk, get to be, I jokingly say I had my cooperative teacher when I was student teaching up at Bloomsburg Middle School, Nancy Edwards, phenomenal woman. But she used to always say the sign of a creative teacher is a messy desk. And I think I really just tried to make myself look so stinking creative over the years, and I cannot avoid it. Like my piles have piles, and they don't get tall. they just grow wider. So
Yes.
tends to get a little chaotic. So, but that's
And
kind of
that's
my tech. That's a cheater, but that's kind of like my tech note. You know, the Galaxy Fold. Just making sure any kind of tech you have, make it fit your workflow.
yeah.
Utilize it to help make yourself productive.
Yeah. And I like that. That's why I've tried to get away from paper. Um and
I got to give Gina a shout out.
yeah, we
She's
keep
saying,
hitting the same button at the same time. I'll let you do
"All
it.
right, go ahead." She is very creative. I love
Yes.
that. Yes, you are. That's it.
And I've gotten away. I tell the kids it's you can write on paper, scan it, send it in through Schoology because I won't lose it that way. It's there
Yep.
on the computer. I don't mind if you write on paper, scan it. That way we don't lose it. Because even um, I would do the same thing with I had the Live Scribe pen for a while,
Mm-hmm,
and then
mm-hmm.
I had when I was at KTI, we got the Live Scribe pens.
Yep.
But even with the Rocket Book, I'll sit there and I'll watch a video or something if I'm not using Edpuzzle, because some videos can't go into Edpuzzle because of certain rights. I know some of the hip use
Mm-hmm,
history
mm-hmm.
videos can't go in and such. So I'll take notes on paper because it's easier for me have something playing on my screen and I have pencil and paper in front of me. I'll write, scan it, upload it, and that's the study guide. If I have time, I'll type it. Or if it's not too messy, I can leave it as handwriting. So I get it. Paper works well for me, but it does get cluttered and I lose things, and then it's a matter of where did I put it, or it's
Mm.
somewhere in this pile. If it's student work, you have to find it 'cause it's not fair to the kids, you
Yeah.
know. But
Well, and so talking about like building community in your classroom, I do have a rule. If the kids kind of make a mistake, they got responsibility slips, they got things they have to do. Well, my rule is, if I make a mistake, I gotta, whether it's not getting a paper back in time, losing a paper, whatever the case may be. So it's funny. So near my house is where my daughters went to elementary school, and the one principal there actually she's sent her teachers to KTI in the summer, and
mhm.
she's been there, and so we get to talk, and then she laughs with me doing prize patrol and everything. But she knows she'll usually get donuts for her staff for Fridays, but she knows if she sees me pull up and I walk in, she'll just say, "What did you do this time, Eric?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I totally just left a whole stack of papers at the house. I was supposed to get back to the kids. I owe them donut holes, so we have a thing called Maple Donuts in York here. So and now it's funny because if the ladies there see me on a Friday, they'll be like, "Hey, Teach, what did you do now?" And I'm like, "Oh, girls, it's and I have to confess, I'm telling everybody that everybody in there's laughing. They're like, "Oh, the teacher's having to get donuts." So it's always a big thing. But
Nice.
my students this year haven't experienced. Well, I made some mistakes, but we don't have a Friday because of our thing. So I technically could owe it for them tomorrow, but it's not going to happen. But they haven't experienced Donut Friday yet, so it's gonna happen. I just have a feeling I haven't made too many major mistakes that donuts are needed. So, all right, well, I cut you off, Dom. What's your
Not a
what's your
problem.
tech note there?
Okay. If I could share your screen, because I have to shut Chrome down to share my screen, and I don't want to shut down in the middle of a broadcast.
All right,
It is ozobot.com/educate/classroom.
all right. Give me a second here. Let's do this
Uh,
again.
some
So,
One of the leaders in my daughter's Girl Scout troop. She is a senior, and her and some of her friends in the troop have earned their robotics badge through Girl Scouts. So they work. We have a multi-level troop. Every year they run the Daisy badge for the Daisy leaders, and we start off with Ozobots and some other little things, and then we finish up the Daisies make their own robots. Next week they'll make their own robots. Almost they're gonna make Hexbug robots next week out of toothbrushes and little vibrating motors and button batteries.
okay.
But we do the Ozobots, and the Daisies love it because coding with color.
Mm,
And for parents and educators, you have a free platform. If you go to ozobot.com/educate/classroom, you look across the top, you have shop, how it works, educators, lessons, and activities. They have free lessons for different subjects for parents to use in different settings. Um, right now, if you wanted to buy, because my Ozobots are a little old and I only have a couple of them left that are running because they're rather old. I borrowed some from the school district where my daughter goes to school, Elwood City, and they loaned me about 6 Ozobots. So the girls, we were doing races and we're showing the color code, how they work and everything, and the little girls loved it.
Hmm.
But you can go on here and you know eventually you'll be able to buy for the small sets. Right now they're only available for classrooms, but you could sign up for free with an email, whether you're a parent or an educator, and you can go in and pull up lessons and ideas on how to use the Ozobots in various subjects. And I like it because the Evo, it's a little pricier, but you can code it, which teaches like the basic coding, Blockly, and some of the other basic coding programs, or you can use like we did last night with just markers. The only thing is, if you're going to use a marker on paper, put like one of those cheapy tablecloths down underneath the paper because the markers will bleed through. But probably six years ago, when my daughter and our troop went through the badge on their own, we had paper all over. The room was covered with paper, and they were racing their Ozobots all through the floor. I mean, it just turned into like this giant race marathon. Around tables, through tables, trying to do tricks and things like that. Kids get into it, and it's just easy. They have all the resources on there, and they're free. Now, the robots, due to supply issues and things like that, they're a little pricier. But I bought them; they were like $50 each, I think. A few years ago. Now they're a little bit more because of the supply chain and scarcity, but they said that I emailed them last night, and I received an email today that they're hoping to get them back into the individual household hands rather soon. Deborah mentioned here that IUs do have the devices. I know IU-27 BVIU by me has devices that can be borrowed out. IU3 down in Allegheny County, I know they have some. They have a decent sized lending library down there, and some of the schools have them. A lot of schools have them actually. So it's a neat little device. They work from kindergarten through 12th grade, and this is just a free resource if you can get your hands on the Ozobots. Just some ideas.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm signed up, man. I got to work on it. All right, I got my classroom all set. I got to add some stuff in. I like that.
Cool.
Very good. Yeah. I'm going to be doing sometimes I do trainings and stuff for other organizations. So I'll be doing a physical computing training down in Virginia. And one thing they work on is the microbits. So it's but again, it's the purchasing constraints. Like there is such a problem with a lot of that stuff. So but that's cool, man. I love it. Being the data 3 girls, like getting the coding going, and you're working with your troop there and the stuff. It's super cool. And
when I did hour of code with the high school teaching social studies, we did the hour of code turned into like a month of code. Kids kept coming in. We would have snacks, and the high school kids loved playing with the Ozobots, and they were you get the very meticulously drawn the line, so they trying to race each other, trying to see who could do more stunts, and the bragging rights of I could get the Ozobot to do more than you could, and how far can we push it, and things like that.
Sure.
And even the older kids, like, because my wife gets amazed, I'll go to the Dollar Tree and I'll buy stickers, or $1.25 tree as I call it now, and I'll get stickers. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Kids like stickers." I said, "I don't use paper that often, but I put stickers on the paper." They get fired up. In fact, we were talking last week at the happy hour. They have sustained silent reading in the one school, and I forget who mentioned it, but the one teacher, there's no points involved, 20 minutes a week, and the teachers across the English department have it set up. And the way it is, Gina's taking credit, so I will give her credit because I don't remember. SSR. They have a chart out on the wall, and it's out in the hall where everyone can see, and they get stickers for hitting certain goals, and the kids get all fired up, and they bragging rights out in the hall. It's my stickers. I have more than you, and people don't believe it because teenagers, but sometimes the simplest things get them fired up.
Yeah, it's like badging. It's just with stickers. Yeah, that's super cool. Yeah, very neat. Again, sometimes tech works, but sometimes a sticker is the tech. I like that. Awesome stuff. All right. Well, so we got the Galaxy Z Fold 4, the little bit more of the expensive of the two. Ozobots, in Ozobot's Classroom. So a lot of good stuff there. So, man. Oh. Scratch and sniff stickers are gold. Man, bringing back the memories. Good stuff. I like it. Yeah. No, I like that. It's good stuff. Very
Don't fall
cool.
for the scratch and sniff marker. It's a scented marker, and next day you have a marker on your
Jab them
nose.
up. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, we did get new markers, and some of the teachers were requesting the smelly ones, and when those showed up, man, they disappeared fast. Oh, all the lines, you can smell them, can't you? And then you get closer, you lean in. All right, I don't know. Gina's on the show; she's gonna be pranking us. I'm a little worried about this.
Yeah, bet you $1 you can't roll this quarter down your nose. You have the line.
Yep, there it goes. All right, man. So as we're closing out, we got important things to share, right? We got has kickoff time occurred already? Does Dom have a TV on in his room? Is it?
No,
are we
it's
watching
behind
the
me.
game?
I don't have it on yet.
Okay.
I'm focusing on this.
Steelers versus Browns, huh? Steelers versus Browns.
I'm a little nervous. I have to admit.
Gina's she's trying to defend herself. Wait,
yeah.
whoa! I meant the stickers. Yeah.
Your team has a big game coming up this week. Too.
Yeah, we do. I guess are we Dolphins versus the Bills, huh? That's upcoming. So
I'll be a Dolphin fan this weekend.
Wild. Yeah. I had a lot of Steelers fans that were rooting for the Dolphins against the Ravens. So it's good stuff. So always good to see. It's interesting. I get into the being, playing college ball, coaching college ball, and I really had the option. I had a couple offers to be a quality control coach, so technically start a career in the NFL or start my teaching career. And I chose stability and money. Not that it was a lot of money, but over being a quality control coach and, not getting any sleep and doing the whole deal. But so I really geek out watching like the Hard Knocks and the shows where they're showing you behind the scenes and the strategy and stuff. And, there's still that part. There's just that little bit of an itch like, So, you never know. I hit retirement from teaching. Maybe I try getting back into the college coaching world, but that would be pretty interesting.
I mean, old for teaching is still young for coaching.
How about it, right? Yeah, that's the hope. Hopefully I can still move.
Saban's in his 70s. He's not even close to retiring.
Yeah, Bruce Arians still down there. Yeah. He was a York County guy. Yeah, a lot of people still kicking around. So we got a lot of different events coming up. We kind of talked about, we kind of put September to bed. We opened up the stuff on October. Check your email. If you are a PACT member, every Wednesday you get the Education Technology Today email. We encourage you to read it. And I like to go in and click the little, share it on Twitter, share it on here, and try to use that to kind of share out. So that way people are like, where'd that come from? And it just kind of drives people back to the newsletter. So that's really exciting. Pete and C on the horizon. And ladies and gentlemen, I know it's very far away, but ISTE 23 is in Philadelphia. So start thinking about your presentations. Start thinking about being there. PACT is going to have a booth. When we had it, what was it, back in 19? It was huge. And we had a lot of people presenting there that maybe weren't presenting at that weren't presenting at ISTE, but we had them presenting in the booth as a member. And a lot of great things happened in there. So excited. So just thrilled that, we're going to get a chance to have ISTE back here another year. So, so a lot of things going on. I'm trying to look at our notes if there's anything we missed.
Tretsy is still, if you in South Central, we've even had people from Northwest come down, North Central, Northwest. It's going to be in South Fayette, which is right on the I-79 corridor, right off the exit. Tretsy is in January on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and they're still accepting student showcase, poster sessions. We're looking for presenters. It's a great regional conference for people that are not quite comfortable or confident enough to present at a big conference. It's a great way to get your feet wet. They're still looking for the poster sessions, student showcase, things of that nature. Check PACT.org. Always go to the website. Bottom of the homepage, there's a calendar of events. You can click on the tabs and go scroll through events, check the regional pages. Everything runs through PAECT.org, so check that out. Along with we have weekly blasts. We try not to spam you guys, But like Eric said, we have educational technology today. Newsletter goes out, and we have updated emails that go out through the through email blasts. If for some reason you're not getting these emails and you see this, please reach out to the regional directors. Go to paect.org and see who your regional director is and let them know, like, hey, I'm not getting the emails. If you're a PAECT member, you can also go into your membership and make sure that you have the right email listed, because everything goes to that email. I know my home email, some things go to my main, the Gmail account. They come into the main. Some go into the back folders, for offers and stuff. So you have to be careful. Sometimes they get flagged or pushed into spam. But check that out. You should be getting those weekly.
Yeah, definitely, and interact with them. Because it only benefits PACT and the work they're doing, and and share them with colleagues. We try to put in updates for us. There's some updates with NISCAPE, who we partner with up north, and different things. So Deb was saying that she thinks September 30th. Oh, go ahead, hit it, Dom. September 30th was a deadline for the proposals. Oh, one above or one below. ISTE proposal, she was thinking. That September 30th might have been the deadline for that. So I'll have to go on and double check that. But I think she may be right, because I know
they're going to be reviewing soon. They're going to be reviewing the proposal soon, so it's going to be closing soon.
That's true. Yeah, they called for reviewers already. So, yep. So Dom and I have to get our butts in gear and get our proposal put in for ISTE.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey, a lot of good things. I truly appreciate everybody who's joined, and for not having guest speakers. We talked a lot, Tom.
Yes. Yes.
Go figure.
I can't believe we talked that
much. I know. Don't ask anybody at the board meetings about that. So, all right. Well, let's take some time to thank our sponsors here before we close it all out. So,
update.
October 1st. You've heard it here live.
For those of us who procrastinate, we have an extra day. I like that.
There you go. So, one thing procrastinators don't procrastinate. Procrastination. All right. Thank you so much to our corporate counsel, our venture sponsors, and our gold sponsors. I tell you, I keep working on that video, and it feels like, I don't know what happens, but it feels like the track just jumps on top of itself. Gets all kind of crazy there at the end. So I got to keep working on that.
Yeah, if you're ever
perfected, my video skills have arrived.
Hey, you're getting good. If you're ever out at a conference and you see some of these sponsors, please thank them. Without their support, we would not be able to do this, which you may think maybe that would be a good thing. Maybe it wouldn't. A little less of us. But they also help us bring different programs to you guys and offer things to you, professional development and events we wouldn't be able to do without them. One such event, which I forgot to bring up, but it's coming back up, I believe, Race of the Regions.
Oh, man.
The rumor is it's coming back.
Thing? Oh, we got to, because what, who was the last winner? Who would that be, Dom?
Let me think.
Oh, did he properly place the shoe?
Southwest.
There it is.
Southwest. Plan on keeping it. Plan on keeping it.
All right, we're gonna work on dethroning Southwest. I don't care what region it is. We got to get that shoe out of there. I'm just glad he puts it behind his back so I can't see it every week. Got to work on that one. Maybe that shelf right above your sign. I like it. That's funny. Good stuff. All right. Well, reach out to Dom at D Salabucci on Twitter. Reach out to myself, E_Verno, with anything tech note tip related, anything you'd like to hear, some things that you'd like to be different.
If you would like to submit your own tech note, please feel free.
Sure.
Work something out. You could either join us live or submit a video, and we could push it out.
Yeah, we definitely can pull it in, use whatever. I mean, bottom line is PACT is as good as its members, and our members are amazing.
Yes.
So that makes PACT a great organization. So we truly appreciate that. I see some comments flying in here last minute. Blah, 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 blah.
It's a Port of Southwest and the Golden Shoe.
Oh, she's got some Southwest pride going. Oh, buddy, we gotta get some people in here. But at least we can agree on amazing organization. There we go. We can finish with that. All right. Well, Dom, closing out the show. Another great time of us chatting. We got a lot more coming on.
Oh, we have we have someone else repping. New viewer.
Man. Chrissy Barnes kicking in from the Southeast. Oh boy, let's get those steps rolling. Get those shoes ready. All right, there's gonna be a lot of sneaker shopping here in the next couple weeks. So we got to. I mean, this better come to fruition, Dom, or you're gonna be in trouble. If this doesn't happen. You better work on that.
The wheels are in motion. The PD department has been setting out emails and reaching out and trying to get things going. So the PD committee is getting things rolling.
All right, very good. All right, well, hey, thank you so much for joining. We really, truly appreciate it. And
appreciate you.
Hey, as always, Dom, PACT, we are
the voice of EdTech in Pennsylvania
and beyond. All right, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great night.
Yeah, have a great night. Have a good week. See you next month.
That's it.